Hello, everyone. Welcome to Boss Radio Live. Again, welcome to Boss Radio Live. So glad to have you guys with me today. We have an amazing guest, Dr. Lynn Carey, with us today. But we're going to get started in just a minute, you guys. Share the episode. If you do not subscribe to us on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube. It's going to be a really great one. So make sure you share. Again, share. It's Boss Radio Live with NJ, your three-dimensional podcast. Baltimore, Maryland. I love my city. Wow. You have to have balance.
Mother's Day extravaganza event being held at LUC Lois Butler Culver.
Come meet me today at the Spirit Level. I want to hear what you have to say. So again, guys, welcome to Boss Radio Live, where he is the boss of me. Again, amazing. So we are definitely going to have a great conversation today. And just in case you don't know her or haven't heard of her, just a little short intro to give you some information about Dr. Carey. Author, speaker, and chiropractor, Dr. Lynn Carey wants to share her self-healing journey from pain and depression to finding grace. Dr. Lynn holds a doctorate in chiropractics and a bachelor's in nutrition. She had her own practice as a chiropractor for 18 years, where she gained many insights as to why people don't heal and how they can. After 2 spinal surgeries for scoliosis in high school, Dr. Lynn got to experience the healing power of chiropractic and cannot wait to empower you to create your desired life in all areas, including health, wealth, love, and self-expression for your overall well-being. You guys, welcome Dr. Lynn Carey. Welcome.
Hi,
Dr.
NJ.
Lynn.
Thank you for having me.
So glad you are here. Welcome to the show. We are going to have a really great discussion because one, we're going to talk about this self-healing that you talk about, but also you're going to share with people how, they can, get started on this journey as well. So I can't wait. This is going to be a great discussion. So let's jump right into it and get started with talking about what kind of struggles you had that even led you to this self-healing journey that you went on. And we talked a bit about it, about your, surgeries that you had, but Just can you tell us a little more about that?
Yep. So right when I was about to enter high school, I got diagnosed with scoliosis, I actually found myself. No, I had my spine checked in school. I had it checked by the pediatrician, and they never saw anything. And I had found a bump on my back. My waistline was gone, and I showed my mom, and she, of course, freaked out. And we went to the pediatrician, and he sent me to an orthopedic doctor, and he said I had a severe case of scoliosis. So they wanted to brace me, and the brace is horrible. If you've ever seen a scoliosis brace, it goes from your armpits to the top of your hips. It wraps around you, and it's as hard as a brick wall. And they wanted me to wear it until I was done growing, which could have been another 5 years. And so I did that for about a year, and then I had an orthopedic doctor tell me I was a good candidate for the scoliosis surgery, where they put Harrington rods in your spine, straighten it, and I would be done with that brace in like 6 months. And I only followed what the medical world said. That's what my family did. So I had the surgery. The surgery itself was a success. I had it at the end of August, and I was back in school at the beginning of September. I
Wow.
kept pushing along, but then I noticed I was sick all the time. I was very susceptible to everything. My immune system was just shot, and the pain started. So it was on and off, and it would get pretty severe. And I would go back to the doctor, different doctors for different opinions, and they would just usually write me a prescription, whether it was an antibiotic or a painkiller, and nothing helped. And I just kept getting worse and worse, and I was just getting more and more depressed. And then when I was in college trying to just decide what I wanted to do with my life, someone told me to look into chiropractic. I didn't know what it was, but they gave me a pamphlet, and it said, "The power that made the body heals the body." And it was the first time I ever heard that truth. And it just resonated with me. I never even got adjusted. I just went to chiropractic school on that philosophy, and it changed my life.
Wow. So, what an amazing start to your story, to your journey here into chiropractics. So, and am I saying that right? I keep putting an S on it, but it
There's
feels
no
right
S,
to
it's
me.
just chiropractic.
Okay, thank you.
You're not the
I was
only
like,
one
I'm
who
gonna
does
ask
that.
her
A lot of
about that.
people do that. So don't feel bad.
Yes, get me together. Get me together. Okay. So you turned this into a whole career, not, 18 years. Tell us about opening your practice. And I want to know a little bit more about that and how you helped people.
So my journey wasn't like I just got adjusted and was fixed overnight. It was a few years till the pain subsided, probably. But I was doing it in chiropractic school. So I had went all these years where the medical world, no one had an answer for me. I got to chiropractic school, and I was in a cocoon of chiropractors who thought differently. We looked at how the body healed differently. We had a holistic approach to the body, honoring what the body was telling you through symptoms, and honoring what are the body's processes. It was a whole different perspective. And I had a lot of that emotional support saying, it takes time to heal. If it took you this long to get to the state you're in, it may take that long to get you back out. And I had nothing but time. I had nothing to lose because I had already tried everything. So it was like, well, here's hope. Let me stay here. So as my mind got turned around in understanding what my body was trying to do, how we heal, and I was getting the body work done, I lost the fear, So, and I know that was a turning point. And eventually I got to a place where I was out of the pain. And it's not like I didn't have ups and downs and didn't go through different things, but it changed my life, how I viewed everything, how I saw life, everything. And I wanted to get out and bring chiropractic back to my hometown. And I wanted to practice on my own because I didn't see another chiropractor that was practicing as a principled, straight chiropractor through wellness like I wanted to. And I was very strong about that. I guess probably because of my own experience. And so I got out, and I remember I was just ignorance on fire because I had no idea about opening a business or money because I was never taught that in school. So I started teaching myself as I opened my practice, and there was a lot of things going on during this time. I realized not everybody wanted to hear what I had to say, that we heal ourselves. It was kind of like I was kind of brushed off, like I'm maybe a little too eccentric or a little too far out there. And I realized how many things affect people's health. I was really witnessing the day-to-day life of people who were coming into me, and I thought, it's the chronic stress of life is what's
Mm.
causing them to stay stuck in their symptoms or their pain or the continual repeated patterns. And so that really fascinated me. I always want to find, I'm that type of person. I always want to find solutions or positive things that we can do to change our lives. So that's what kind of led me down that road.
Sounds like you like solving the puzzle.
Yeah, I
Which
do.
is great. Some of our greatest thinkers are just like that. So this whole, line of the way that this conversation is going, it almost puts me in the mind of the whole discussion around mindfulness and that self-awareness. And so that's what it's, sounding like to me is that it's kind of the mindfulness along with just the chiropractic care, both kind of together, is being used. Would you say that was pretty accurate?
Absolutely. Because it definitely taught me to be in control of my own life and my own health and my mindset. And I realized how many things mindset and your emotional state controls what's going on physically. And I realized how many people were coming in to see me who never connected those dots. They didn't realize that the stress that they were in their job was maybe manifesting as some kind of chronic symptom in their body, or the stress that they were in a relationship, whether it was family or a spouse or children, they were manifesting it physically because if there's no outlet for that stress, if you keep that mental or emotional stress just going every day without solving it, a lot of people feel stressed or kind of stuck in that.
Mm.
Eventually, that energy has to come out because we are all energy. Your body's always just moving the energy through of what your experiences are, and it's always trying to self-regulate what you're taking in. So eventually, it can come out as dis-ease in your body, or it could be labeled a disease. So if you can understand the connection of those things, that point, that's where your power is.
That's an awesome revelation. I hope you guys that are listening to this, that you are hearing what Dr. Lynn is saying, because that is really a revelation. Like you said, a lot of people don't connect the mental, emotional, social, kind of well-being with physical health. And I know one of the biggest things, as you mentioned, is just stress overall. Can come out in so many different ways. So if somebody is like just getting started on this journey, Dr. Lynn, what kind of tips do you have for them as far as kind of self-healing? And you're saying, well, I guess it is self-healing, because I'm like, you're saying self-healing, but they may need the help of a professional also. So, and if you could talk about that as well.
Yeah, so it's the journey, right? It's a journey that we all take. And I think a great place, it's something simple that anybody can do is just take a pen to paper. I always say journal, because I think it's very therapeutic for the brain. And I think it gets your ideas going and it breaks you out of certain habits by writing things down. So I always ask like the basic question, are you living your desired life? And usually people can answer, maybe if they don't know what they want, their gut instinct, their gut reaction is going to let them know if they're truly happy in their life. Maybe some areas they are and other areas they aren't. So it's about getting clarity on what you want. So that's something that you can start jotting down. What would it look like? I think a lot of people are afraid to acknowledge what they actually want because they think it's out of their reach. So I say, don't disregard the vision or those thoughts. Put them down on paper. Not that you have to figure it out, because eventually you're going to be given steps to get there. Or maybe the vision will be adjusted to something bigger or better than you can imagine that's actually fits perfectly into what you're living. There's so many different angles that could happen. And another thing you can do is just start making lists of things that you appreciate, a gratitude list. Basic things, because that starts to change your mindset from problem oriented to solution oriented, and it makes you focus on things that you're grateful for. Usually uplift you, right, and make you happy. You could write things that make you happy in the daytime, that they're things you appreciate. So that reorients you to look for solutions in your life also. And
Wow.
something basic, if somebody wants to start where they're having health issues, find the right mentor for you. You can go to a holistic doctor, whether it's a chiropractor, a massage therapist, a naturopath. but doesn't mean that person's going to fix you or heal you, but they're going to give you guidance on how to learn to heal yourself if they're good. You want to just get back in tune with your own body rhythms, and they help you relearn that. That's what they should be doing. And, that's just learning new habits and being mindful of what's going on in your life and how it's affecting you. And so there's just some of the basic tips that I give people when they're starting out.
Those are all really great ones, and you were talking about being aligned, and I think that when I was listening to you, that's what I was getting as well, like just getting yourself aligned. Um, because if you are living like outside of your purpose, if you're doing things that I'm trying to figure out the way to say this without you know it sounding mean, but if you're just doing things you don't want to do, because you like feel obligated or feel pressured, things like all of that can kind of manifest itself in different ways. And so you actually speak about having alignment in all the areas of our lives. And I almost jumped off of the screen earlier when you said mindset, because that's so huge to me, mindset. But not just that, you're talking about like even financial alignment and relationships alignment. So can you talk a little bit about that? But mindset definitely, because I think that's where it all starts.
Well, I would see people making choices about their health based on the amount of time and money that they had. So I saw how much time and money really affected every choice we make in life. So I thought if they were going to not only the basics, if you're going to a job that you hate every day, eventually that's going to cause you stress. You're going to be tense every day, and that's going to suppress the energy in your body, which is the life force. When I would adjust somebody, it's to open up those life channels in the spine. That's how the brain body communicates, right? That's, as a chiropractor, we recognize that there's an inner wisdom. We call it innate intelligence. We want it to be at optimal, running, flowing, right? But when you have stress, that's what starts to turn it off a little bit. That's what I would adjust, the stress. But if you're not getting the stress out of your life, it's going to keep happening, right? That I have to keep adjusting you to clear that stress. So I just saw people making choices based on what their health insurance said they had to do, which a lot of times alternative methods weren't part of that plan. If they wanted to buy organic, if they wanted to buy clean products, which should be part of health, they couldn't afford it. If they really needed to rest, they couldn't afford to take the time off. So I just saw how much all these areas dictated how people's well-being, and it just upset me. And I thought there has to be ways to change this. And also relationships. I mean, I see people, whether it's family, friends, or staying with people out of obligation and guilt, and eventually that drains your energy. So I think it's really, and the thing is, these situations can seem that there is no solution, but there are solutions. And that's where the mindset comes in. You have to open up your mind to other ways of doing things, whether it's putting up boundaries, learning to relate to other people differently, learning to maybe create another stream of income, change the job, change something. But it starts with getting in tune with what you really want, and then finding it doesn't mean that you have to make a drastic decision right away. You could just find the right book to read, find the right video to watch, or the podcast to listen to, right? As you get answers and you accumulate answers, it could be little things that you can do throughout your day to make changes, such as finding 5 to 10 minutes to find some kind of peace or happiness throughout your day where you're not running crazy all day long. So it doesn't have to be drastic. It may lead to making changes, but you're going to be ready to do it, but you have to face your fears. You got to face the darkness within you, all those things. Because the sad part is, if people don't want to deal with it, you're going to be made to deal with it in a way you don't want to. And that's what I see. It comes out in a disease or something, or an accident or something that makes you stop your life, reevaluate, and have to take the action because you're forced. So that's why I say, if you can do it, gently, have the courage to do little things to start making the changes, it may be an easier path.
Wow. So you know, this seems like it would be common sense, but it is just amazing how much, people don't actually I guess we don't listen to our common sense. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody, but we just we just keep steamrolling over like our instincts and our, you know, we know things, but we just don't act on them. We just keep on going full steam ahead, sometimes in the wrong direction. So, that is just hard, but
But
it's
you know what? Can
definitely
I
what we
say
do.
something to that? I think people
Hmm.
shouldn't feel bad. And I know it does seem like you should be common sense, but really, if you think about it, we were raised to go against our instincts.
Mm.
We were raised to struggle, work hard, buck up, muscle through. Oh, if you need a day off today, you're not, I mean, my family was like, you just had to work all the time. There was no time to be, have a nice day for happiness. I mean, you know what I mean? That wasn't praised or looked upon. So I really
Mhm.
want to get people to reorient themselves on like what you're feeling inside, your dreams, that little voice inside. That's what we should be listening to. I always say that's what God's speaking to you. And that's what will guide you to your greatest joy and purpose and life. But we have been definitely programmed to ignore it. So I think we kind of have to get back to thinking that that is the common sense because it just hasn't been accepted enough. Maybe
Mm.
that's the word.
I agree. I agree. So I hear you saying, listen to that inner voice, take time, that the self-care piece, which is huge. It's really huge to do the self-care. So maybe from your personal experience or what you've seen people go through, what do you think are some of our, biggest issues other than not listening to ourselves? What do you think are some of our biggest
I
issues
think
when we are on this path?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues is the busyness. Especially as Americans, we think we got to be busy all the time. It's like productive. And I'll tell you, that's one of the things I think that kept me sick all those
Mhm.
years because I was a crazy type A perfectionist work. I'm just going to get it done. I don't care how I feel. Like I worried about everything. And because I got to do, because you got to work hard. I thought, my God, if I'm relaxing, it would almost give me like a panic attack. I just knew I had to keep going.
Mm.
When I really started to change, and from my initial chronic symptoms, I noticed I went through other symptoms where I would get headaches and things because I was working so hard and I couldn't let go. Now
Mm.
I realized it's almost counterproductive, especially for me. I realized I can't keep myself busy all day long. I have to really be very mindful of my day and my time management and do things that are only important. Like I ask people, like, think about what you're busy with all day long. Are they all really important? And most of the time they're not. So I really just focus on what's important now. And I make time to give to rest in the sense that I have to give myself time to reboot my energy up and then I am more productive. But that
Mm.
was a big learning curve for me and a big change. But I know now if I don't make time for myself to just be, I can't keep going. I can feel my energy shift immediately. So that's why I really don't get bad, like sick anymore, because I head it off before I get to that point. A lot of times people won't stop until they get really sick because
Mm.
that's the sad part. That's when you can get off work. That's when you're going to get compassion from the people around you because they physically see it. I mean, that's just being blunt about it, but that is part of it.
Mhm.
So we have to acknowledge that to change it.
So that's definitely an overall attitude. And sad to say this, one of the things that I think really was like a revelation for some people is when the pandemic happened, because you couldn't go anywhere. Like there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go, and you literally had to slow down, and you had to sit with yourself. So it's like, you got to hear those inner thoughts were coming through really loud. Some
You
people
couldn't you
were
couldn't hide anymore. There was nothing to escape
No
to at the
busyness to
time.
be had, right? So I think for some people, weird to say, I think that changed their mindset, having that moment. I've literally heard people talk about the fact that it allowed them to sit still and realize how busy they've been and how, just how crazy our lives get. And so I think, of course, we don't want anything that major happening. But it's almost like what you said. It's like when you're made to sit still, it's like you do. But hopefully, people took a cue from that and kind of, kept having. I know I have, Dr. Lynn. I've been trying to have self care time, me time, relaxation, no stress. So definitely. So you wrote a book called My Journey to Grace. And can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yep. So when we locked down 3 years ago, I wasn't going to write my story until I was still figuring out the financial piece and my entrepreneurial businesses and things like that. But when we locked down, I thought, we need stories of how we heal instead of all this fear going on in the world. So I thought it was a perfect time to share my story of how I learned to heal myself. And that's what I wrote in the book. And I titled it My Journey to Grace because there was a key turning point for me about 3 years into practice. I was 27 years old. I was going back and forth to Brazil and India. I had a group of chiropractors that I was traveling with to do mission work in these countries. And every time we'd go, the energy would change. And eventually it led me, and then I was working on people in my office, and instead of being so mechanical, I was really starting to feel the energy side of things in my hands, in the person's body. So all these things were kind of coming together, and I eventually went into this gray state that I call it, and it lasted for about 18 months. And it's just the way I describe it, because there really is no words. I try to make somebody understand who's never experienced it, is that it's like falling in love, but there's no other person there. You're just in this happy bliss state for no reason. And I realized, I always say that's that was the God source in me, or that high vibrational state that we all have access to. I really truly believe that's what we're all looking for in this
Mm,
human body, is that state. That's why we're always looking for the next high, right? With the alcohol or the drug
mm,
or the money or the next home or the next trip, because we're looking for that endorphin, when really, if we can learn to access that natural state within us, we can live in that bliss state, that gray state. I call it a higher consciousness way of living. And then we can create our lives from that aligned place so it can match the inner, and
mm.
that's what creating a desired life is all about. But sometimes you have to shatter the mainstream illusions to create your desired life. And that's what I put my subtitle is. And so that's what I share, is just a kind of all the things in the last 25 to 30 years that I've discovered I kind of had to find a new path to everything that I was being shown. So I look at it, my book is like a little blueprint for someone if they wanted to make changes in their life and find another way.
That's awesome. And I definitely can appreciate that, because we just need to stop being so bogged down with everything. And one of the things that you mentioned that I didn't, expand on any, but I heard you say about the gratefulness, and I think that's a big part too. If you're able to look around and see and appreciate everything that you are grateful for. You might be grateful for, your relationships, and grateful for maybe the career path you are on, if you feel like it aligns with your purpose. You can be grateful for so much. You can just be grateful for that day and for kind people. Like, it doesn't matter. Just expressing that really, really does do something to you. It brings you some inner joy. So all of these are.
When I started that gratitude practice was right when I started my practice. And it was before I had my grace state. So that was one of the things I was doing. And I just started with 5 things. And eventually my list became like a full page
Wow.
of things I was grateful for. And people think, it sounds so simple. People may poo-poo it that it's too simple, but it's a powerful tool because we're vibration, we're frequency. So when you're looking at things that you're grateful for and appreciate, you raise your vibration. And when you're not appreciating, you're complaining, you lower your vibration. So when you just are able to acknowledge that, it's huge because we attract more of what we're vibrating at. So if you can start to orient yourself to be in that gratitude appreciation mode, you're already on the upswing. It's a powerful tool.
Thank you, Dr. Lynn. This has been great. So how can folks find your, I'm actually going to put your website up because your website, I do have that where they can find your book at.
Yep. So it's,
there we go.
The website is creatingmydesiredlife.com. Exactly. You can find my book there. It's also on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But you can also on that website, on my website, you can email me a question and I'll do my best to answer it. And you can see what else I have to offer.
Definitely. Yeah, I was perusing your website. I actually was listening. I think I was on your YouTube. I just got all around. So you definitely have resources out there. Definitely. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been great. And I hope you guys got some good nuggets from Dr. Lynn. Dr. Lynn, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, NJ. It's an honor to be here. This was awesome.
Absolutely. So I hope you guys listen to some of those things that Dr. Lynn was telling you, because you definitely had some nuggets dropped on you guys today. So guys, this has been a great episode. I thank my guest, Dr. Lynn, again for just being here and offering some great wisdom. So you guys, that has been another great episode. Please make sure you join us in a couple of weeks. We will have Jerry Fu on. You guys will hear a little bit more about that and see that on the Facebook page, on the YouTube. And just check us out. Same time, same place, every second and fourth Friday, you guys. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, you guys, stay boss. Thank you.